Um, I've always been in a hurry. That is actually true. You said that just a little bit earlier, but I didn't exactly know where I was going necessarily, but I felt an urgency around the things that I did. So, um, a different way to say this was I knew that I had some raw potential. I didn't exactly know where and how I could put that best to work. And so I learned to be very experimental. So, it didn't matter the different kinds of jobs I had. My commitment was in this moment, I'm going to try to be the best version of this person, and achieve however the metric was. So, if you go back to when I was a high school kid and I had an internship at a software company, I worked at the help desk, and I was measured by trouble tickets. How many could I close? And it's like I had to close them all. Right. That was the focus. When I was a derivatives trader, it was measured by how good I could manage risk and make P&L, and I wanted to do the best I could. And there, I actually suffered a lot of losses, but I was introduced right away to this idea of managing risk. And when I was leaving trading, when I was in my early 20s, I had this incredibly lucky thing happen to me. I had been trading stocks on the side, and my boss at the time, who I had all of a sudden made a lot of money for, said to me, and I've said this story before, but I love telling it. My nickname on the trading desk was Sherman. Nobody wanted to say Chamath, so they called me Sherman. I said, Sherman, how much debt do you have? And I said, I have like $27,000 of debt. And he wrote me a check and he said, you go and you pay this debt off right now. And I walked downstairs and I paid it off. And I came back upstairs and he said, that's the value of equity. And it lifted a burden from me. And during that time, even until my early 30s, every paycheck I got, a third to a half would always go back to my family. And so, I was always kind of running uphill, right? So I never really could live my station in life. When I made 50,000 a year, I was like making 25. When I made 100, it was like I was making 50. When I made 200,000 a year, it was like I was making 100 constantly. And then I got this job offer to go work at this small startup company in California called Winamp. And it had just been bought by AOL. And they had given me a number of shares as my comp package. So my salary was a lot less, but then it was like 5,000 shares. I mean, like a complete nothing burger. Okay. But I went back and I built a spreadsheet and I sensitized how much money would this have been had I joined in different years. And Trey, there was a couple scenarios where it would have been like $3 million or $4 million. And I was like, what is this? And I didn't even realize that even when I was trading stocks, that I was actually buying pieces of companies and that equity would create wealth. So that's how I learned it. I joined that company. I took the 5,000 shares. The stock price went in half. I made nothing from it, but I committed myself to being good. And, over time, I was able to negotiate when I went to Facebook that concept. And I remember Mark and I negotiating my comp package. And I said, I'm optimizing for ownership. Give me all the number of ways that I can make money via equity at Facebook. And one way was I remember he gave me, I'm going to get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is right, 25 basis points of equity for hiring 3 director level employees. I was a VP. I was in the senior management team. And somewhere along the way, I just decided I don't want to hire directors because these guys are all bozos and I'd rather recruit from within and promote up. And so then I went back to him and I said, well, let's just tie it to users. Anyways, those were like billion-dollar decisions, which weren't billion-dollar decisions at the time. They turned out to be those things. But it was all tied back to that one moment where, my boss, Mike Fisher, said, Sherman, go pay off your debt.